To have a seminar like this is important because you raise awareness among people about children's rights. You include people with power from the government, and even the president was here. So it is extremely important. It lifts children into the discussion as human beings and not only human becomings. They are human beings right now, and they have the right to have a good life, to be safe and secure and develop healthy. So it is really important to have seminar like this, especially when you include the people with power. In 1981, when the Ombudsman for Children was created in Norway as the first place in the world, then we had a lot of challenges. And one of those were that it was not prohibited in the law to beat children in homes. And one of her major tasks was to convince not only the politicians, but also the general opinion about violence against children. So 6 years after the establishment, actually violence against children and physical punishment was prohibited totally in the law. Yes, so an ombudsman for children can both contribute to legal change, but also to change the mindset of people through information and education of the general population. Then the ombudsman can have a very important role. I will tell them that children are a group in society with no right to vote. So they don't choose their own decision makers. And they have less experience than we have, and their language isn't that strong. So that they need spokespersons. They need adult people who speak only on their behalf. Otherwise, they will end up to lose the battle of budgets. They will end up to lose the battle of focus in media and all this. Children always lose the battles out there when they have to fight against adults' rights. So therefore you need a spokesperson who can stand up on behalf of children all the time. Yes, we had many changes during that period, and it is, for instance, we had established a system of following up children who has been violated by sexual abuse or violence. Before children, they had first to knock on the door at the police station to be interrogated, and then they go to the health system to have an examination there, and then they go to a psychologist, and then to the child protection system, and there's very many places to refer to. During my years as an ombudsman, we had established a system of, it's called Children's House, inspired by Iceland. Then the judges and the police and everybody comes to the child in one place, in one house, one day. And the child is interrogated by the police and by the judge and examined by the doctor, and she meets a psychologist. And all this happened at one place, child-friendly place. It's been very, very important, and it has spread all over the Nordic countries now. Well, it is because children, they need special protection because they are a very vulnerable group. When you make a comprehensive law for children, then you also have to make sure that in other legislation, they have to adjust themselves to this comprehensive law of children. And when you have a comprehensive law for children's rights and you have the Convention of the Rights of the Child, then people who fight for children's rights, they can refer to these legal systems and help children to get their rights fulfilled. So I think it's very important. And I was thinking of when you have an ombudsman, she can use the comprehensive law on children's rights as the major tool in her work, together with the Convention of the Rights of the Child and other legislation. But it would have been, for me, if we had a comprehensive law in Norway, which we don't have, it would have been a wonderful tool to refer to in the daily work for an ombudsman. So, should you have an ombudsman first and then work to establish the legislation afterwards? Well, I am used to having an own legislation for children's ombudsman, but I hear that they consider to include the ombudsman's law into this greater legislation system, and that might be a good idea. But I believe that it also might be a good idea to have an ombudsman as soon as possible, so that she can follow the development and implementation of the new comprehensive law on children's rights. It was listening to children and young people and bring their voices forward to the people with power. So when I go out there and meet children with their special experience of being children in maybe special situations, if they have been in war, if they have been exposed to violence, if they've been in prison, then I go out there and listen to them, and I will bring their voices forward to the people with power. And this way the ombudsman functions as a bridge builder from the children to the people with power.
That's the lobby that you...
That is a way to lobby. It's a way to involve children in policy making. It's extremely powerful. When a prime minister sits there with a child or a group of children in front of her, who tells the prime minister how it is to be children of today, it's much more powerful than any psychologist or ombudsman come into the office of the prime minister and speak on behalf of the children. So it's a very powerful when you help the children to meet the power people directly. We have seen today in the seminar what happens to the people in the public when a girl at 16 years, a 16-year-old girl, gives a strong message from the podium. It was wonderful. And I could see it on her faces out there when she was talking. There are many ways to be discriminated. Being a child, one way is to be discriminated out of where you live. So a country like Norway and a country like Chile will have different services for children north and south, and different municipalities will have different approaches to the way they protect children's rights. According to the convention, children's rights should be the same all over the country. You should have the same rights no matter where you live. So an ombudsman can make sure that there are not too big differences from the municipalities or regions or provinces in the country. Other ways of being discriminated when you are a child is, for instance, having a disability. And an ombudsman should make sure that children are not discriminated because of their disability. And you should have the same services wherever you live, things like that. And also when it comes to immigrant children, with parents who don't speak Norwegian, then an ombudsman can make sure that you have a system out there that ensures that parents can have information about their children from school or health system in their own language. One of the most important features of an ombudsman for children is the independency, total autonomy. This means that the ombudsman for children is independent from the government, is independent from NGOs, and independent from all religious groups. So he or she who runs the office of the ombudsman for children should be only dependent on behalf of children, right? Only dependent on the children. So, and therefore, it is extremely important that the appointment procedure of an ombudsman for children is transparent, open, that the short list of people is available for the public so that they could make sure that it's not any friend of a politician or someone belonging to a party or things like that who is appointed. Very important.